Hi class, we have the ninth lesson for height and distance. So this is another video for angles of elevation and depression. So the explanation here, as I did for lesson 8, is very crucial. So you need to be attentive enough to understand. It's about the location of the angle as well as another location or object. These are the two things you need to understand. For angle of elevation, the angle is always below a particular object or location. Yeah, see it? This is it. So for angle of depression, the angle is always above. You see, the angle is here. The angle is always above a particular location or object. So this is angle of depression, this is angle of elevation. But you need to be attentive for you to understand where that location is or where that particular angle is. But the only thing is that the speculation has to go with between the object or the location and the angle itself. Between the object or the location and the angle itself. Once it is depression, the angle is above the location or the object. Once it is elevation, the angle is below the location or the object. So you need to understand this. Now let us say we have someone here. Yes, we have someone here. And the person is looking at the top of a building. Let us just demonstrate this one to be a building. Yes, let's just understand this to be a building. Of course, the building stands on the ground and the person is also standing on the ground. Now, I can stand here and look at the top of the building. So you see, look at the person looking at the top of the building. So look at the observer's eyes. But what is the location? The location is the top of the building. But when you consider the horizontal line of the observer's eyes are this. So look at the angle here, and here is the location or the object. So this is angle of elevation because the observer's eyes or the angle is below the object or the what? The location. I hope that one is clear. Or someone can, let me say, we have like a flight. Let's say we have a flight here, like, yeah. Let's say we have like this. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Let's say we have a flight here. Yes. And this flight is looking at what? Let's say a boat down here. Yes, let's say a boat down here. But this is the horizontal line considering what? The flight. And this is the object or the location. What angle is it? This is angle of depression. The angle is above the object or the location. I hope this one is clear. Angle of what? Depression. Angle of what? Elevation. Okay, now let's go to the problem. Now, the angle of depression. So if I were you, once they say depression, straight away, I'll start thinking of this. I'll start thinking of this. The angle is up and the object or the location relating to that is below the angle. I hope it is clear. So, but the thing is, you need to read the problem properly so you will know where that angle is mentioned and where that location of the object is. The angle of depression of a boat, most times they will start referring to the object or to the location. The angle of depression of a boat, but you already know that once they say angle of depression, the angle is up. Yeah, it is above the location of the object. The angle of depression of a boat, so meaning um, if it is someone observing, it will be what? The person observing a boat or looking at a boat here. The angle of depression of a boat from where? Meaning, when they say from, meaning where the angle is located. Most times, having mentioned depression or elevation, they will first of all discuss what? The location of the object. Mind you, my own explanation is referring to we have location or object and we have the angle. So you need to get that. The angle of depression, the angle is up of a boat, meaning the location of the object is here. From, that from is now referring to where the angle is. From where? From the midpoint of a vertical height. Sorry, vertical cliff. But this one is closer to the writing. So let me just put it down a bit. The angle of depression of a boat. So before I even continue, once they say depression, the angle is up. The angle is here of a boat. So meaning they are referring to an object here of a boat. From, that from is now about to refer to the location of the object. From the midpoint of a vertical cliff. So meaning the angle is where? At the midpoint of a vertical cliff. So meaning we have a cliff here. We have a cliff here. But the midpoint of a vertical cliff. And there is no way the cliff is not at the ground level. So now we can just refer what? The boat to be here. Is that clear? So meaning at the midpoint of the vertical cliff, someone is observing or looking at a boat here. So, but what is the angle? Okay, this is the angle of depression of a boat from the midpoint of a vertical cliff is 35 degrees. So the angle is 35 degrees. 35 degrees. If the boat is 120 meters from the foot of the cliff, the part of the cliff that touches the ground is what we mean by the foot of the cliff. Okay, so if the boat is 120 meters from the foot of the cliff, here is the boat. So we have 120 meters. Calculate the height of the cliff. We want to find the height of the cliff. So, but just imagine that the angle is at the midpoint of the cliff. But the question is to find the whole height of the cliff. This is so simple that because the angle is at the midpoint, let us assume from this to the ground is 10. So once we know that this is at the midpoint, so if this is 10, this is going to be 10. So I mean, whatsoever we get here, we say times 2 will give us the whole length of the cliff here. So, but one thing I want you to understand is angle of depression is always equal to the angle of elevation here. Why? Because we can see this line and this line are parallel line. This one is a transversal, so this is equal to this. Why? Because they are alternate angles. So here is 35 degrees. So we no longer consider this one. It will just be there just because of the way we interpreted the problem. So since we want to find the full length, let us find this length first because this is the one that is part of the triangle. But let us don't forget that a vertical line and a horizontal line, they always meet at 90 degrees. So that makes it easier because this is now a right angle triangle. Okay. All right, so now we want to find this. we can choose to name it anyhow. Let's call this, this is already h, so let us call this x. So that x we want to find, it is serving as the opposite of the 30. Remember, the side facing the given angle is the opposite in a right angle triangle. So we have the opposite. The side between the given angle and 90 degrees is the adjacent. So we have, so here we have this and we have this. So which of these has OA? OA, it is tan. So we are using tan. So we say tan 35 degrees is equal to opposite over adjacent. The opposite is x, the adjacent is 120. So x over 120 degrees. We give this one. 1 times x is x. Tan 35 times 120 is 120 tan 35 degrees. So let's see what we have. 120 tan 35 degrees. Tan 35, 84.02. 84.02 meters. Okay. But this 84.02 meters is only for this length here. But the question is not to find this. The question is to find what? The whole length of the cliff. Yeah, but this here is the midpoint. So if this is the midpoint, whatsoever we get here is the same thing applies to this. So for us to get the whole height of the cliff, we can say the height is equal to 2 times this one. Or if you want, you can even say what we get here plus what we get here. Any of the two is correct. So 84.02. So the height is 04816. So meters. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to follow, like, share, and comment. See my next video.